Okay, hello everybody. I have been told by my friend that I should do some Roblox Studio tutorials because, first of all, for people like him who you can't really explain things to very well, and just because it's always a good thing to do. So, today we're just going to go over the basics of Roblox Studio, and we will start. I X'd out of all of my windows and all that here, so it looks like what it would look like when you first open up Studio. Of course, there's not going to be this stuff, and this is going to be a regular gray base plate, unless you use a template. Don't use templates; they cause problems. So first we have our File button. I'm just going to go over this, all these buttons and tabs here first. File button, New, opens a new thing. Open, opens past project. Open, recent, same thing, just recent stuff. Close, closes the thing. Save, saves it to a local file. Save as, saves as to a local file. I don't really use any of these because I save all of my stuff online, but I know a lot of developers use those to save them to local files when they want to release several things as a larger update. I don't do that though. This is what I use. I actually don't really use that because you don't really need to. If you configure the place before you start editing, or yeah, whatever, before you start editing, I guess, yeah. And then publish Roblox just saves it online. Advanced, publish whole game. I have not experimented with that. I don't want to because I don't know. I'm not sure. Might cause problems. Open recent saves. That's like same kind of stuff as here. Export object. I have not really looked at those very much. Maybe I'll go over that some other time, or maybe other people will know. Settings, you can just change your settings. Pretty self-explanatory. Help, tells you help. Okay, this is the new, same thing, does the same thing as that. This is undo, and this is redo. It, same thing as Control Z for undo, and Control Y for redo. This is the play button. You can go and play your game and test it in there, and this is going to be the stop button. It'll stop the test. Now these here in the home tab do the same thing, except this one you can run it and you can see everything happening in the game. Now there's nothing happening here because I don't have anything in here right now, but like if I had stuff going on by itself, then that would be going on right now. I just would not be spawned into the game. Play here. So the spawn is right there, but if you click play here, it basically spawns from wherever your camera is in Studio at the moment. So next, I don't really use these buttons because you can always do the right click and then, use those, or I just use the keyboard shortcuts. Most of you should know those, I would assume, but if you hover over them, then it'll give you the shortcuts for them anyway. So alright, so these are in the model tab. I'll go over those too because I don't want to have to go over them twice. Terrain editor, basically, okay, first of all, I probably should have done this earlier, but when you are using Roblox Studio, there are two vital windows that you always want open. You want your Explorer open and you want your Properties window open, because what you use those for is you can look through all of your stuff here. See if I select this, that's this thing right there. Okay, see how that kind of highlights there? But basically what it does is there's a lot of things that you just would not be able to do at all if you didn't have these open. It'd just be like a million times more complicated and pointless. Properties, I can select this, just change values and all that. You pretty much need that you use it for GUI. You use it for everything. I'll just put it like that. And you'll learn how to use it all through other tutorials, because I'm not going to explain every single thing right now. Just the basics. So when you first open Studio, collisions is going to be turned on. Personally, I think that's a stupid thing that Roblox has done. I'd never use collisions. I don't know anybody who does. It just really messes with your ability to build stuff. So I'll just give an example here, I guess. So, where'd it go? Alright, so, alright, let's start with it like this so I can actually move it around. Why is this not working? Oh, for some reason it spawned into there, probably because I had that selected. Alright, whatever, I guess. Okay, so, what collisions does, say I have this part here, I'll go over these two in a bit, but they're pretty much self-explanatory. So I have a block, okay? I want to insert another part, but I want it to be like overlapping that part. So first I'll resize it. So you've probably all seen in some games how there's like rocks or whatever. They all are overlapping all those parts. You know, you've seen those kind of things. I'm not going to make it fancy right now, but hopefully you'll get the idea. Now with collisions, watch what happens. You can't go through that part. Now what you can do without collisions is you can still just make it just on the outside of the part there. So that's why I think it's useless, because as long as you just set it to a normal increment, you can use it without collisions and still have it be that way. But collisions is nice because you can do this kind of thing. Okay. So constraints, I don't mess with that. I always keep those kind of things turned off. By default, I think it's on surface only. I keep it that way too. Okay, transform. I don't use transform. I think, from what I've seen, I think it's just a combination of these three things just all put into one. So you don't have to switch between them all. But I don't use it. I just switch between these when I need to. Because I'm used to the older Roblox Studio stuff. So select, basically, so I have these locked right now, and I put them in terrain just so they're out of the workspace area. Normally they would be in workspace. It makes no sense to have them in terrain. The only reason I have them there is because that way they're not in the way. But say I want to have this unlocked, okay? I can do this, and I can grab it, and I can drag it around using select. Or if it's just there, I can just select it, okay? Okay. Move. Here, I'm just going to move this into workspace for a second. I'm just going to use the base plate actually, just because that's so easier. Okay. Alright, so move, self-explanatory. You move this way, you move up and down, and you move back and forth. I guess depending on your angle, it would be different. Now, normally I have like a little X and Y, X, Y, Z thing in the corner here. I don't know why that's not showing up here. I'll fix that later. Okay. Okay. So, scale makes it, you saw that, it helps you resize stuff. We've seen several examples. Rotate, you rotate stuff. I'll just make an example here, just so that I can use for us. Okay. So that scale, you just saw it. Rotate this way, you can rotate that way, and you can rotate that way. Okay. So that's all that is. Terrain editor. I think I'll have a separate tutorial for terrain. Toolbox. You can have that open also. I have it set up so that both of these are in the tab here, so by default it should open up to the properties, but then I can always switch that, so I don't always have to. It used to be every time I would turn that one off and turn this one on, or turn that one off and turn this one on when I needed that, but I don't have to do that anymore because they had an update where you can just do this, which is really nice. Okay, so you uncheck these for basically no increment, so you can move it like without having any increments or snap twos. It just goes any way you want it. Okay, and move same way. So rotate is just for the rotate tool. Move is for the select tool, the move tool, and the scale tool. It does this. It applies to all of those. you'll see a lot of developers, like in other games, they just always keep these unchecked. I think that's a bad idea because I'm kind of a perfectionist about this kind of thing. Some of the things I build, I do that because some of them are better that way. But a lot of times I just make it a smaller increment, like I use 0.25 a lot, or 0.1. And I keep, normally by default I think that's at 45. But I turn it down to 15 by default because that's just easier. I don't usually have to adjust too much. Sometimes I can turn it down to 5 though. Or I don't think I've ever used 2.5, but that would work too. Part, inserts part. You can select different kind of part. You can make a sphere, you can make a wedge, you can make a cylinder. You can also make a corner wedge, like that. See, there's a difference between a normal wedge and a corner wedge. So there's the normal wedge, there's the corner wedge, pretty much self-explanatory. Okay, so material, normally I just use these, but if you want, like every time you want to place a part down, it'll reset every time you reopen Studio, but like say I have this set to grass and yellow. Every time by default when I put a part in, it's going to go to that. But surface, normally when you spawn a part in, let's just do this for now, just that way it can show you. Okay, it's not doing it right now, but normally this is going to be like, there's going to be studs and inlets on the bottom, and you can smooth that by putting just do the smooth tool. Normally it would look like that, but you can just make it smooth by doing that. Alright, so lock, it's the same thing as in here. Locks it, makes it so that you can't select it using your mouse, you have to select it using this. That essentially does the same thing. It doesn't, I just use this. I don't know why they have so many of the same thing on there. Anchor. Anchor holds a part in place. You pretty much are always going to use that for everything you build, unless it's something that moves around, or a tool. Because if the tool is anchored, the player can't move. But say I'm building a car, you don't want it anchored. None of the parts should be anchored. I mean, sometimes there's like a weird bug in Studio where the scripts get anchored. That doesn't do anything, so you don't have to worry about that. In that case, like if I were building a car, you'd use a perfection weld script, which just welds all of the parts together so that they can move around as one piece. Anchor, like I was saying, if I'm running this, there's okay. If I'm just running it, okay, it's not anchored, falls, okay. But if it is anchored, it stays up there, and then I can unanchor it, and it falls. Okay. Normally you should anchor every part that you place down, unless you know it's going to be something that moves around like a vehicle or a tool. But I'm not doing that for now, just for demonstration purposes. Union, I think I'm going to have a separate tutorial for building and all that. This, can I move this around? Oh, I can. Nice. Okay. Effects. That's just like fire. If I make this smaller, you can see it better. That's fire. You can go in here and delete that. You can do smoke. Sparkles. Particle emitter. You can change the particles and all that. You can change it to, let's say I want to do, how about the epic duck? Okay, so that's going to do that then, if I set it to the epic duck. And I can change, you know, all of the increments and all that so that they appear less often and they're not so crowded or whatever. But I'll go over particle emitters, and I'll go over the lights and all that in a different thing, I think. Spawn, insert spawn. That's all there is. I don't really use those. Test. Same thing, it's the play button. Now, basically, the run script is basically like the run thing, except it's only running a single script when you have selected. Pause, you just pause the testing, whether that's in a run or whether that's in a play. Stop, same thing. I've never used Network Simulator. I'm not sure what that is, but this kind of test is when you go into like an actual live server. So there's a lot of things that will work in a local test and not work in a live server test, and vice versa. So that's kind of how you do that. Emulator, same thing that's over here. You can see what your game is going to look like on different size of screens. You know, mute. I don't use any of that. I don't use this either. Okay, this just helps you open and close windows. Normally, if I was using Team Create with this place, there would be like a chat button here, or and there would also be, yeah, see Team Test next to Game. That's only for Team Create though. I'll go over that some other time. Game Explorer, that'll be open automatically by default. I don't use it. I mean, sometimes I have to use it. Like if you're going to insert teams, you got to use that. Tutorials, output, that's another one. You're gonna, and pretty much any time you're doing scripting, you want to have output open. It'll tell you where errors are. It'll give you all the messages and all that stuff. It gives you the output. You kind of need that. When I'm building and whatever, usually I keep it on, but just because I'm doing a tutorial now, it'll be easier for you to see it if I keep it off. I don't really use these, but these are other script analysis things. Command bar, you can basically run a single line command. Breakpoints, it's output, script analysis, breakpoints, all the same kind of thing. These come up for errors. If you have like a infinite loop on accident, then those will pop up. Here's Team Create. This is it. That's what it was. Okay, so yeah, that thing will appear in the little corner there for that. Video record, screenshot, full screen, self-explanatory. Plugins, I'll go over that a different time. And pretty much that is it. Let me just think, is there anything else? I'll go over those other things in a different lesson. I think that's pretty much it. Yep. Okay. So when you're done, you want to save it. I'm not going to save it because I didn't really do anything important here. You'd go to, either you can save it to a local file on your computer, or you can save it to an online thing on Roblox. And that's that. I'll see you in another tutorial. And I don't know how long, but hopefully soon.